Welcome back, my students. I'm Ellie, and today I'm going to try to make the past perfect continuous tense easy peasy lemon squeezy. So let's get started. The past perfect continuous is formed using had and been or been and present participle. Questions are indicated by inverting the subject and had. Negatives are made with not. Okay, nice and easy. The way we form this past perfect continuous tense is we use had and been or been. American English we say been, and the present participle or the present tense form of the verb action, the action. What is the thing or person doing? Action. So had plus been plus action. And then we use continuous or progressive. Some teachers say progressive. I say continuous. ing. All that means is ing. So waiting, working, cooking. That's all it means. Continuous, progressive. You just add ing. Let's look at some examples. Okay, so again, blah, 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 right? Let's break it down. First, let's look at this statement. I had been waiting there for more than 2 hours when he finally arrived. So we have I, that's your subject, had been waiting. That's the past perfect continuous form. Had plus been plus the action and ing. I had been waiting for more than 2 hours, for more than a week, for more than a year. Again, you're looking for that time. Let's look at a question. Had you been waiting there for more than 2 hours when he finally arrived? The question we invert, which means we move it, that had, to the beginning. Had you, right? Had you been waiting? Had you been eating? Had you been playing? Had you been? Then action. What is the action? Plus, don't forget, ing. Had you been waiting there for more than 2 hours when he finally arrived? I might ask this question if I can't believe it. Like, oh my God, had you been waiting there for 2 hours? Let's look at the negative. I had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours when he finally arrived. So to answer the question, I could say, no, I had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours. So we put the not or the negative after had not been waiting, had not been eating, had not been playing. Remember, after the word been, you're going to have an action or that verb in present tense, and you're going to add ing. You should use the contraction hadn't in this sentence. No, I hadn't been waiting there for more than 2 hours, because that's more natural and quicker and easier to say. You can separate it. You can say, no, I had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours. You can separate it. That's fine. We usually do it when we're expressing an emotion, like anger. No, I had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours. Right? I'm stressing that not because I'm angry. Maybe I'm upset. No, I had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours. So, if you want to express an emotion, then separate that contraction. But if you're just speaking naturally and without emotion, you should say, I hadn't been waiting there for more than 2 hours. The past tense part is had. That tells me it was in the past. Another way to use this past perfect continuous form is when something has started in the past but has stopped. Let's look at some of those examples. Let's talk about why. We use the past perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and continued up until another time in the past. Okay, let's break that one down. Duration of time. This means for 10 minutes, for 3 weeks, it could be months, days, years. It's a duration of time. Whatever it is, whatever the action is, it will stop before something else in the past happens. Let's look at some examples. They had been talking for over an hour before Tony arrived. So what have they been doing? They had been talking for over an hour before Tony arrived. So that's what they were doing in the past, but they've stopped. And now Tony is here, and that's the next action. Let's look at another one. She had been working at that company for 10 years when it went out of business. Again, had been working. That's your past perfect continuous tense. Had plus been plus action. The verb, present tense, adding ing. Had been working. She had been working at that company for how long? What's the time? For 10 years. And what's the next action? When it went out of business. So she doesn't work there anymore. 10 years, and now it's out of business. That's the second action. So she had been working at that company for 10 years when it went out of business. Here's a negative statement. First, interrogative or a question. How long had you been waiting to get on the train? Now the negative is, I hadn't been waiting long. That's your negative. I had not been waiting long. Notice that I use a contraction here. Hadn't. I hadn't been waiting long. I hadn't been waiting long. Hadn't. Hadn't. I hadn't been waiting long. Let's look at a negative question or interrogative. Hadn't you been planning a trip? Again, here we switch it. Hadn't you been planning a trip? Hadn't you been waiting? Hadn't you been planning? Hadn't you been working? We use that present verb action plus ing. Hadn't you been planning a trip? The answer, no, I hadn't. That's the negative. No, I hadn't. Yes, you can say, no, I hadn't been planning a trip, but it's not necessary because it's in the question. Hadn't you been planning a trip? No, I hadn't. No, I hadn't. Again, we're using that contraction. And that, my students, is the past perfect continuous tense. Well, my students, that's it for this video. Remember, come back again next week. I'll have another one for you. If you have any questions, remember to post them in the comments section below, or find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or stop by my website at EnglishFunZone.com. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and all of that other fun stuff. And until next time, keep practicing. Bye.